Hi, I'm Edward. When it comes to workloads, I'm often asked whether to deploy it on-premise or in the cloud. There are two main vectors that drive the decision as to where to deploy: commitment and control. Commitment refers to the duration of how long the workload will exist, where control refers to how much control you need over the compute storage data center network to successfully run the particular workload. The longer you can commit and the more control you need will drive the workload closer to you. Here are a few examples of commitment. If you know a particular workload will exist for 20 to 30 years, you could think about it like a real estate transaction, but very few enterprises can predict so far ahead. Maybe it's not 30 years, but 5 to 10 years. At those horizons, managed services or co-location services might be an option. Often in these cases, the decision is more finance-driven because you can consider buying the hardware, compute and storage, and move cost from OpEx to CapEx. However, those longer-term scenarios present some drawbacks. For example, you are committed, losing the option to quickly adjust up, or even more importantly, down. Businesses often underestimate what it will take to operate, manage the availability, security, performance, economics, and change of this type of infrastructure, and often not recognized how many in-house compute and storage teams do you know of that deliver new features every 3 months like other service providers. On the other side of this argument, what if the workload is going to exist only for a few days or even less? It is clear that those types of workloads can be run further away from you, in a cloud model where you consume compute, storage, data center, and to a large extent, network as a service. Some of the key advantages are agility. Real example, at some point I wanted to understand what the user experience would look like in the Asia Pacific region if I would host my services in Singapore. We spun up a clone of the service in the cloud in a couple of weeks, costing about $10,000. To find out, it was a total failure. In the old days, it would have taken 6 to 12 months at least to get a data center, buy and install the equipment, and get the services up and running, all to find out it would fail. Another financial aspect I like to call out is that if I don't use cloud services, my cost is literally zero. This cannot be said if you are in a 10-year contract and a 5-year depreciation cycle. The others say, control. The level of control you need over the underlying compute, storage, data center network services also drives where you put the workload. Here are some examples of control that would drive the infrastructure closer towards you. The most common reason is because the workload can't be moved due to technical limitations. And this is why enabling your applications to be cloud ready is so important, because even when you decide not to run it there, at least you'll have the option to do so. Security or compliance regulations is another key driver. If you cannot share your workload and associated data with anybody, you will end up having to control a lot more of the stack. Performance. I once had to keep a workload in-house as the code was so performance sensitive it would only run in a specific type of chip, and the scale made it cost prohibitive to run sub-optimized. Other considerations might be competitive or IP related that would disqualify having the workload and its data with a certain vendor or outside of a building that you control. The good news is that with today's diversity of service providers, products and models, you can find almost always exactly what you need. There are many options that support different levels of commitment and control. At Juniper, we use a combination of these models, and we enabled ourselves to do so by building the network infrastructure to support the many different scenarios. So let me tell you a little bit more about what we did. We deployed several points of presence across the world, independently, but in strategic proximity, with strong network access capabilities to Juniper's corporate network, local networks, and cloud service providers. In our branch offices, we use JSSR, SRX, and AP12s and 45s to leverage local connections at low cost, using our SD-WAN technologies. Over the last 5 years, we almost cut our telco spending in half by doing so. During COVID, this helped us a lot as we could treat every home office like it was a branch office. And like many of us, we did have to manage our VPN handling capacity at the POPs, of course. We provide network proximity to cloud service providers in these POPs, leveraging our QFX, SRX, and VSRX product capabilities. This has enabled us with a whole new level of agility. For example, we built a dedicated lab connection securely with one of our cloud service providers in a matter of days. I hope this information is useful to you in your quest for delivering infrastructure services that add value to your business, are of high quality, easy to consume, and delivered fast and timely. If you want to learn more, please reach out to us by contacting sales. Let's make it happen.